us now on the River Islands guest line, former Eagles wide receiver from 2006 to 2013, Jason Avant joins us. Jason, good morning. Joe Spadoni, Joe Shasky. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well in yourself. You guys good?
I'm real good.
We're fired up, man.
I'm real good. I'm thinking about how the Niners can go to Philadelphia and win. They've won a couple times in the last 15 years. One of them you were a part of, the Justin Smith punch-out game. You remember that one? Harbaugh's first year, 2011? Yeah. That was a tough loss for you guys.
I remember that. I remember all of those. I remember all those matchups. I remember one time Alden Smith was giving our left tackle the business. I remember Deshaun Golston. I remember cutting him and him and I getting into arguments the entire game. Yeah, so it's some fun times.
I'm glad you brought that name up because I told these guys, I'm like, I don't think you understand. Deshaun Golston would kill people. Like in today's game, I don't know if he could play. Like I legitimately don't. Him and Dante Whitner going over the middle because the rules were so different. Explain to people out there who don't remember how vicious those guys were over the middle.
Yeah, the rules changed, in that collective bargaining agreement was it 2010 or so. But before then, and even on that borderline, they were still officiating the game differently. There was none of this head injury stuff. It was if the quarterback left you out to dry, you would get your neck, taken off. And that was it was incumbent upon the quarterback to protect the receivers. It wasn't the rules. So those guys played with a different mentality. I've got my clavicle knocked out. You mentioned the name Dante Whitner. He was my recruit at Michigan. We were trying to poach him away from Ohio State in high school, right? So, those guys played the game a certain way. That was the greatest safety era when you talk about the Palomalus and Dawkins and Ed Reed and Rodney Harrison and Lawyer Malloy. All of those dudes would knock your head off. And that was a price to pay to play in the league. And we loved it as receivers because we got our get back. You had your Hines Ward. You had your guys that, like myself, that would go in and dig out the safety. Bob Sanders may have been the most reckless player I ever played against.
Bob Sanders.
He was not big.
No. He was going to get slept on. He was on a DPOI, didn't he, in Indianapolis? Yeah, he gets kind of slept on there.
Yeah, he's just a player that played the game too hard for his body.
Yeah.
And he played the game too hard for his body. Back to Iowa, just a dude that was, we played them and I would have the yellow Iowa paint on my helmet.
Man.
So that was good football.
Jason, how do the 49ers go into Philadelphia this Sunday and win?
Well, there's a few avenues for both teams, right? So there's a few. If the 49ers are going to win, the thing you have to do is continue to play football the way that they're playing it, and that's in 21 personnel. When you have Juszczyk in the game, Kittle, and you have your two receivers out there, McCaffrey. If you can figure out a way to pass the ball, avoiding Quinyon Mitchell, avoiding Cooper DeJean, but you pass it on the other guys, right? So you get Zach Bond in coverage, you get Nakobe Dean in coverage, you get Marcus Epps, and you get Reed Blankenship in coverage. And they can do that. Kyle Shanahan is such a mastermind in that way, is that they figured out a way to play the game of football, avoiding the outside corners, because they don't target those guys as much as they target the inside guys. So I think that's a way. Another way is to attack, Cam Jurgens, our center. Our center has struggled a bunch this year. You talk about the tush push and the things not being effective and the run game not being effective. He's been hampered by injuries. And so teams have figured out a way with movement and bigger guys to get pressure through the gaps. And that's with Landon Dickerson, that's with Cam and Tyler Steen. But Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens have been guys that have been attacked by opposing, defenses. So there's a few avenues that you can have. But if you're planning on, just relying on this secondary, the Eagles secondary is one of the best in the league when it comes to just being around the football. So your outside guys may not be as effective, but Kittle can have a big game. McCaffrey can have a big game in the passing game. Another big thing that I'm looking for is can our defensive ends hold up against you guys tight ends? Because for some reason, Kyle Shanahan likes one-on-one matchups with you guys backup tight ends and or Kittle and or Juszczyk on defensive end. We were able to knock Brock Purdy out of the game the last NFC Championship because of that. But he still does it a bunch. Can Jalen Phillips, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith beat their one-on-one matchups in the run and the pass against tight ends? I think we'll see if that comes out to be part of the outcome of the game.
You're giving me flashbacks. Every time I see a tight end come across the formation to block a big, my mind like just
he was there in person, Jason. He was there.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. Yeah. I hate it. But Jason, I'm looking at the personnel for Philly and I say, man, they're loaded. There's so many great players I would want on my team. Why have they struggled to put it all together this year on offense?
Because their names don't name. Yesterday's success doesn't guarantee future success. And the Eagles have had names, especially in the offensive line. Landon Dickerson hadn't played well this year. Lane Johnson's been hurt most of the year. And then Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens hadn't played well. The only offensive lineman that's played well this year is Jordan Mailata. Consistently, he's our left tackle, or he's been the only one that's played well. And then teams have started to figure out us out offensively. If we can't establish the run, the Eagles can't establish the run, it's hard for them with the passing game being simplified to have success consistently, because teams are advanced at picking up and recognizing route concepts. And we have very simple route concepts, but it works great when there is the threat of the run, because now you get free lanes, linebackers are up. It's easier. But if you can't run the ball and they can just look at your simple concepts, they're going to be able to decode that every single time. So that's been the struggle. So A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith have been stationary a lot this year, rather than being in different positions. You guys do a great job of it offensively, of Kittle is here one play, McCaffrey's there another play. There's motion on every single play. Philly's offense can get very stagnant. And when you don't have the run game to make it easier for Jalen, it gets hard at times. So that's what's been the problem with the Eagles, is that the run game has been ineffective. And because the run game is ineffective, we don't get the same throwing lanes in the back end.
Talking with Jason Avant here, former Eagles wide receiver on the Morning Roast, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. And Jason, I want to ask your opinion when you were watching the film and breaking it down this week or years past. Brock Purdy, what do you make of him as a quarterback? And I think there's a lot to be made. Everyone's comparing him versus, Jalen Hurts, or is he elite? Is he not elite? What does he do well, in your opinion, that maybe gets slept on from the outside?
I actually like Brock Purdy's game. The reason I like it is because I think it's a much harder game plan, and what they ask of Brock Purdy is pretty hard. Like I said, when the Niners played the game in between the numbers, there's a lot of bodies with all of those tight formations in one particular spot. So you have to know exactly what the defense is doing in order to move a guy out of his spot with your eyes, to be able to throw that post backside on time with guys over the middle of the field. You have to know exactly what's going on in order to be successful in that offense. So I think he does a great job having command and knowing defenses, knowing where the ball needs to go. Those are elite qualities. When I say he's elite, he's approaching that, right? He's approaching being that top 10 quarterback, that top 7 quarterback, all those things. He's approaching that. So he does that really, really well of taking advantage of what the defense is giving him, ball placement, getting guys the ball, and doing exactly what, Kyle is asking him to do. I think there are some areas of concern. He is a smaller guy. When you have like that mush rush and just get guys in his throwing lanes and get the hands up, you've seen multiple times where balls are batted. There are some chances for some tips and some turnovers. You saw that at the end of the game versus Seattle. But when they move the pocket and the offensive line does a good job of creating throwing lanes, and his ability to scramble and throw, all those things are really, really good. He's a very, very good quarterback, especially in that offense. And I think that offense is much harder than most people are, doing in the NFL in general. I think that offense is hard because they are asking you to do so much and read so much.
All right, Jason, we're really up against it. Who wins very quickly?
I got the Eagles in this game, and here's my reason is because I don't think that the Bryce Huff, we know him. He was here. The dude will see the same look over and over again and get beat on it. And I think just like the Seattle game, they're going to attack Bryce Huff, and I think we'll have some success there.
Jason, great stuff, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very good.
Good luck Sunday, and hopefully we're doing it maybe not next week, or if we are.
Actually, I kind of hope your season ends, but you're a good guy.
That's kind of basically what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that in a nice way. Jason, thank you.
We're just saying all the best in your career. We'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Jason.
Have
Appreciate
a good
it,
one, man.
All right, Joe.
See ya.
There we go. That's Jason Avant. He's a good sport. That was a really good stuff.